Hello and welcome to Professor Pincushion. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create the royal crown that's a part of our pet costume royalty edition. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the supplies I'm going to be using for this project. First, I have pattern pieces. These are available to download off our site, and you may have to scale it up or down depending on the size of your pet's head. We have fabric, so for this fabric right here is going to be the center topper part of the crown, and then I have felt. The felt is going to be used for the crown itself and for the bottom of the crown, and then the black is going to be used for decoration. So for both of these, you really need scraps. It just depends on how big you're going to actually make your crown, but I'm not using very big pieces. I also have this faux fur trim. Mine is 1 inch thick. You only need enough to go around the base of the crown, so really not that much. And this is actually a little bit wider than what I would like it. It's just the smallest one I could find, so I might trim this down just a little bit. Ribbon or elastic. This is going to be able, so we can tie it onto our pet's head. So I'm going to use ribbon. You can also use elastic as well. We have all-purpose thread, fabric scissors, pins and needles. I have some of this polyester stuffing. Fabric glue is very important, and then whatever you want to use for decoration. So I have some rhinestones here, and then I have a pearl button that's a shank button. So for the button, it's going to go in the center of the crown. I prefer it to be a shank, but you can use other types of buttons as well. Out of your pattern pieces, you only need to cut out the following. So out of the crown base, you're going to cut 1 from your felt. From the main part of the crown, you need to cut 2 of these. You can actually cut 1 if you want. I'm just doing 2 because I'm going to glue them together so it's a little stiffer and my fabric won't flop over as much. And then out of the topper, you just need to cut 1. We're going to sew the ties onto the hat first. So again, you can either use ribbon or you can use elastic if you wish. So you're taking each end. I'm doing ribbon, so I have 2 ends here, and I'm placing them on the opposite side of my circle. And I have them just sticking past the edge of the circle, I would say about 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch, and go ahead, pin it into place, and then we're going to take it to our machine and stitch it down. For sewing my straps in, I'm just going to do a regular straight stitch. You can also do a zigzag stitch and go back and forth maybe a couple of times, because this is what's going to be securing our strap to the base of our hat. So there's not really going to be any other stitches, and we want to make sure that it's not going to come undone. Next, we're moving on to our topper piece. Grab some needle and some thread. We're going to be doing a hand running stitch. Now this is the right side, so actually flip it over to the wrong side. Along the edge, I'm just going to be doing a very easy running stitch. I'm coming up from the right side to the wrong side, and actually do it about, I would say, 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. We don't want to do it right on the edge, but just pretty close to the edge. So I'm pulling my needle all the way through and my thread, and then I'm going to go down, go a little ways, and then come back up. So you can see I'm just moving sideways. Go down through the fabric and then come up. And I'm actually going to just pull my threads as I'm sewing, and you'll see it'll start gathering. Like here it is. Normally you can see my stitches, but if you slightly pull them, the fabric will start to gather, and that's what we want because we're going to be filling this area with our polyester stuffing. So down, up, and this is a running stitch. And then I just slightly pull, and you'll see it'll start to gather, and this whole thing will start to cinch together. And I'm not going to sew all the way. I'm going to sew most of the way. I'll show you what that looks like, and then we'll start filling it with our stuffing. You should start to end up with something that looks like this. So it's a little pouch, and before you start cinching it up all the way, leave a little bit of room so you can grab some stuffing and then start putting some stuffing in there so we give it a little bit of shape. Once you have enough stuffing in there that you like how full it is, go ahead and pull your string so you can cinch it up as much as you can, and then use your whatever thread you have left over to tie a knot so it stays just like this. Apply a little bit of fabric glue around this opening here, just on the fabric part, and then you can go ahead and glue it so it's right in the center of the base. So you can see it's the side that has the ribbon sewn to it. And that's going to hold it in place so then we can sew it. Just to make sure that our topper is not going to go anywhere, I have some needle and thread again, and I'm going to do something similar again to the running stitch. So the topper should not go to the edge of the base. It's still in the center. I'm just going to grab a little bit of the topper fabric. And this really isn't going to be shown, so it doesn't matter if your threads show or not. And then grab a little bit of the base right underneath it. So you can see I'm just doing a small stitch, pull it through, and then grabbing a little bit of the topper. So I'm just zigzagging between the two sides. So topper and then base, and then topper and then base. And I'm just going to go around the whole topper until it's all sewn in to the base of the crown. If you cut out two crown pieces, go ahead and put fabric glue on one so then you can glue them together. Now the fun part is decorating our crown. For me, I'm going to use my little rhinestones and some fabric glue. For decorating, I'm just going to decorate the points of the crown, not the base. Since I am going to use the fur trim, that's going to cover up any decoration I do down here. So it's really up to you on how you want to decorate it. Take the ends of the crown and bring them together so they overlap about a 1/2 inch. Then you can go ahead, take it back to your machine and do a straight stitch. I would do a straight stitch here and then here just to make it extra secure, or you can also just use fabric glue and glue it together. The main part of your crown is now going to be placed right over the topper. So that's sitting on the base, and we're going to get closer and show you how to hand sew the base and the crown together. You just need to make sure that you put it on straight. So I have the ribbons off to the side, and then the back is in the center towards the back of it, and you can see now the front's also going to be centered. I'm again going to use a needle and thread, and we're going to do something similar to a whip stitch. So first I'm going to come up on the base of the crown, just right on that edge. And that way my needle or my knot is going to be tucked on the inside so we won't see it. I'm going to grab a little bit of the base, but when I come up, I grab a little bit of the crown as well, like that. And so then you have a single stitch like this. Now I'm using a contrasting thread so you can see what I'm doing, but you definitely want to use a matching thread if you can. So then grabbing a little bit of the base, but when I come up, I grab a little bit of the crown. And you want to get as close to the edge as you can. Then grab a little bit of the base and then a little bit of the crown. So you're just going to do this all the way around. You want to get a little bit closer to the edge than I am. It's just a little hard for me to hold this like this and show you at the same time. But you can see you're just doing little stitches. And if you use a matching thread, it's going to look a lot neater. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add my decorative button to the center of my topper. So I'm going to grab some needle and thread. I'm going to start at the bottom, right in the center of the base, and go all the way up through so I come out the center of the topper. So about right there looks right. You can see my needle coming out here. I'm going to pull it through, grab my button. Now this one is a shank button, so it has a little hole on the end. Go through that, and then I'm going to go straight back down through the topper until I get back down through the center of the base. So let's flip this over so we can see where we're coming out. And if you want, you can do this stitch a couple of times. Now when I pull this, you're going to pull it tight, and then you're going to tie a knot. You want to pull it as tight as you can, because what it's going to do, here's it normal. Let me put it to the side so you can see it, and then I pull it tight, and it's going to go into the topper and sort of create a little dimple. As an option, you can add your faux fur trim to the base of the crown. So for my original width, I actually cut this down, so now it's about a 1/2 inch in width, and then I'm just going to use my fabric glue just to glue it on the base like this. After you glue your trim on, you can add these little extra embellishments to make it look a little bit more royal. So I'm using my black felt from my scrap, I'm cutting strips, and then I'm cutting little tiny rectangles. And these rectangles I then can cut down into tear or watermelon seed shape. If that's too much for you, you can also just leave it as little rectangles and then just use your fabric glue to glue them on. Now that your crown is done, don't forget to complete this ensemble with a matching royal robe. New tutorials are released weekly, so please subscribe to be notified of the next release. Make sure to check out our other videos and visit ProfessorPincushion.com to view our complete library with well over 200 sewing video tutorials, including our exclusive premium content. Our premium membership is only $5 a month for unlimited access and only available at ProfessorPincushion.com. Also, don't forget to download our mobile app for videos on the go. Thanks for watching.